Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to episode number 71 of the True North Eager Beaver Interview Project, also known as episode number 669 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Do. Always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Thursday, June 12th, for broadcast Friday morning, June 13th, 2025, and it is still a beautiful day here at the Beaver Lodge. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today?
Well, all things being equal, I think I'm doing pretty good, to be honest with you. I just got back maybe 30 minutes ago. I was out with Lola for about 2 hours. We had a nice long walk. We sat in the park. We met lots of people. It was a good afternoon. It wasn't as warm out as I thought. So you needed to be in the sunshine.
Okay.
I was like, I'm wearing flip-flops and shorts. Why? Because it's, June 12th. It's flip-flops and shorts weather. And if you're in the sunshine and the wind isn't blowing, it is flip-flops and shorts weather. But however, if you sit in the shade and the wind picks up, you want long pants on, maybe some socks and a pair of shoes. It's not that warm out right now, which is weird because yesterday it was like 27 and it was great. There was no humidity. It was, I don't know what's going on.
Weather's all over the place.
This is not a coffee, by the way, because it's, like 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at the moment.
Okay. Yes, we are time traveling, as you can see there, kids and cubs. I'm doing very well.
I think you're a little out of focus, though, for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Is it you or is it me?
No, it's the camera there went out for a bit.
See, every now and then I got to do this and go, no, it's definitely you.
There we go. That should fix it right there. Yeah, it does that sometimes. All right. So kids and cubs, I'm doing very well today, and of course, getting ready for the Oilers match tonight. So yes, and
Let's go Oilers.
And today, we have a treat for you.
Yes, we do.
You have been asking for this, and we said that we would try, and we didn't let on that we had perhaps succeeded. So you don't know, but you will once we start advertising it. So by the time this airs, you'll probably know who it is. But kids and cubs, our guest today is a fifth-generation service member who proudly served 22 years in the Canadian Army. Retiring from active military service as Master Corporal, she was the second woman in combat arms unit and brings a legacy of leadership, resilience, and public service to her campaign. A resident of East Central Alberta, again, go Oilers, for over a decade, she lives in, this couldn't be any better, Beaver County, come on, and understands the unique needs of rural communities. She has made a decision to run in an expected by-election that was sparked by a refusal to stay silent after Conservative leader Pierre Poilièvre, or Rerun, as we call him, overrode the democratic process in her riding.
Yes.
For her, it was a line crossed and a call to action. Running without a party, she is focused on real representation, fair elections, rural healthcare, veteran support, and responsible leadership. She's a straight shooter, committed to serving the people, not political agendas.
Correct.
Kids and cubs, please put your paws up and give a big round of applause to the independent candidate running in Battle River-Crowfoot, Bonnie Critchley. Welcome to the Beaver Lodge.
Morning. I need coffee, so I'm going to just keep on with it.
No, that's totally cool. And here's what I'm going to tell you: the kids and cubs are going to love your bookshelf.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
I'll do a wide shot here for a second, just so everybody can see. Like that's a good bookshelf right there, and
yes.
and a cowboy hat Cowgirl hat.
Yeah, we're just gonna ignore that because that's not how you properly treat a cowboy hat. It was the only place I could find to put it right now.
No worries, no
But
worries.
you see,
Uh,
we put it out of shot. We're the ones who brought it in, so that's our
we
bad.
brought it in, so no worries. That was us. Yeah, the Kits and Cubs, our viewers and listeners are big fans of literacy books, and often
Mhm.
as we've had guests on who have had like this massive bookshelf behind them, and they're like, "Oh my god, I love the books." People just get excited about it. So
Fair enough. My reading is quite eclectic, everything from bios to fantasy novels to historical fiction, the whole 9 yards to, I've got a couple of copies of the Criminal Code up there in the corner
oh, nice, good to
that
have
I
too.
can't quite reach from my chair, so
Good stuff. Listen, first of all, thank you so much for being with us. And we start every show by, of course, asking our guests as well, how's your mental health today?
oh, a little tired. I have spent most of the day today outside, and the smoke in at least the
Yeah,
northwest of Battle River-Crowfoot is quite thick, even though it's threatening to rain on us. So, my
well, fingers
pupper
crossed.
Ivar hasn't gotten to run yet, and he's starting to go a little stir crazy.
Mm.
Mm,
So if the camera falls over, it's because the Great Dane has decided he's bored. Just fair warning.
All
okay.
good, all good. We're all about the puppy dogs.
Yes.
We, my,
How is
sorry, I was just going to say we're more connected to the wildfires at least in my household here in Ottawa than many people may realize because my wife, her eldest, well, her son, she has a son and a daughter, and her son is in Peace River fighting the
Mm,
fires.
yep.
So we're deeply connected to this as well. And I mean, just this past weekend in Ottawa, our AIQ, our air index quality hit a +10. There's two different scales. There's one that goes to like 500 and one that goes to 1 to 10. And it was 10 in
Mhm.
Ottawa, which is extremely rare,
Yeah.
extremely rare. And
My truck is currently hooked up to the horse trailer so that I can go help my neighbors do evacuations and whatnot as required.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
well,
So
actually,
every
I
living
unhooked it
animal.
so I could go do campaign stuff, but I got to go back and get that hooked back up because it's not good. It's
No,
very early for the season to be this bad.
yes, and it's particularly bad right now. I mean, the smoke we got in Ottawa was from Manitoba.
Hmm.
Not
Mhm.
exactly close to Ottawa. We're the
No,
opposite side of Ontario, you know. So
it reached Europe actually, but
oh,
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Bonnie, how are things over there with regard to that? How are people doing in the area?
um,
Because I mean, there's smoke, but I mean, there's sure there's people that have family and whatnot, and they're concerned.
um, community's pretty good. Just outside of the riding, because where I'm at in Beaver County is the very northwest corner of the riding.
okay.
Okay.
So up on Highway 16 we have a historically Ukrainian village that parts of it burned down earlier in May. So it's already affected the local area, at least where I'm at.
Mhm.
And my parents who are further south of me are, yeah, the horses are being kept quiet and calm. They live outdoors all the time, so we don't have a nice clean barn to have them in, but we're not running them, we're not working them, we're
Yeah,
not going to make them work their lungs in this crowd.
yeah.
Right.
It's
Jeez.
it's it's bad. It's bad on every living thing in
It is.
it really, period. I mean,
Mhm.
human, beast, insect, you name it, plants. It's bad. It's bad.
And I am so appreciative of the various firefighters coming from overseas to assist in the assorted fires that we have here. Even with everything that's going on south of our border, we're still having people come across. I believe the last contingent was an Australian contingent. I'd have to double check that. Um, but yes, they're coming across, and guys are coming from all over the world to come help us fight fires. And I've done that. I've fought bush fires and grass fires, and that is just hot, miserable, nasty work.
Yeah, I've had
Indeed, yes. It was the Australians that are coming down to
Yes,
help us.
yes. So Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart, that kind of work. I've had family members do it. Like I said, my wife's son is currently in the middle of that. It is not for the faint of heart. It is difficult, strong, uh, demanding, hot, dangerous work.
Yes, when the wind changes, that's always fun. The last time I was doing it, I was following just a grass fire. It was low level grass, but it was a grass fire, and the wind changed, and I started picking up my boots, and the fire was coming with my boots. Oh, I'm on fire.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I should go deal with that.
Oh my. Jeez.
Go deal with that. Go scuff that out. Fire's
Oh, yeah.
coming with my boots. Yeah, it's a thing. It's yeah, it's a thing.
Oh, man. Bunny, could you tell us a bit more about Battle River-Crowfoot? Like, what's life like there? What are the people like? What's the community like? What are the values?
It's big.
Okay.
52,000 square kilometers.
Oh my.
That's a
Yes.
big.
How do you campaign
There are
on that?
Yeah. How do you knock doors in an area? Like
um well, that's one of the reasons I've started fundraising before the campaign the election is called. I can't issue tax receipts before the election is called, but getting campaign donations, even $5,
Mhm.
gets me a few more kilometers down the road. And
Right.
yes, I will drive. I intend to drive all as far southeast as I can, because it goes from where I'm at approximately I mean, again, northwest corner. I'm approximately 45 minutes east of Edmonton. It goes from my area all the way to the Saskatchewan border.
Oh wow. Wow.
So um I usually stick the door knocking just simply because of the disruptions. I've been on a farm. I know that,
Mhm.
oh, now what? And you have a car coming all the way down that driveway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Who's
so
who's
I've
gonna
been
sell me
most,
something, right?
yeah. And I've been there. I've been that guy. Yeah, that's it. It's massive.
That's a very large area. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I'm in Camrose, which is a half hour north of, or sorry, I'm in Tofield, which is about half hour north of Camrose.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you well, how far of a drive is it to Hannah?
I haven't actually measured that yet. That's next week's task.
Oh,
I
okay.
gotta go to I gotta go to Stettler tomorrow. So
Because
I've got
Hannah,
I got
I
an
was
hour and a half drive to get to Stettler tomorrow.
okay. So I was just mentioning Hannah because that's where Nickelback is from.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
Hmm.
I don't know. If you were to go through a lot of my old posts, you'll see the one with the cowboy hat sitting on the dashboard. Have a look at the touch screen underneath and see what I was listening to.
Uh,
Okay, I'm gonna find that.
so while
Yeah.
I was in Calgary, a couple of visits to Calgary because my sister was born in Calgary. I have some friends there. One of my dearest friends in the world lives in Calgary, and we went out. I was there last. December and then July and the December previous to that. And the December previous to that, we managed to take in a couple of hours at the Canadian Music Hall of Fame,
Mm.
and because Nickelback had recently been introduced, so there was a huge setup display, sort of a. If you ever get go to Calgary, go to the Canadian Music Hall of Fame, and have a visit. It's an amazing building. It's an amazing display, and there's some really cool stuff there. If you're a music fan like I am, you got to do it.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. But my
We
point with the size is there's quite a lot of variation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is a very traditionally conservative area.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing from my neighbors is they are not happy about a parachute candidate.
We had
This
an
is
So,
idea that would be the
feedback we're
case.
getting. Yeah, this is people are like, no, this is a parachute candidate, and people go, well, he's from Alberta. And I go, it is he? He's lived in
no,
Ottawa for
he might have
25
been
years.
born in Calgary, but he hasn't been here in 25 years.
Yeah.
And
And he's been
the
coddled,
need,
mollycoddled, right?
yeah, and the needs of rural Albertans are very different than what you're going to find in Ottawa.
Oh yeah,
It
absolutely.
is very different. I don't know if you gentlemen have had a chance to peruse my platform.
I have, yes.
Um,
We have.
when I say I'm centrist, I mean I'm very centrist. Despite attempts to paint me very left, simply because I stand up to Monsieur Poilièvre. I am very much a centrist. I do, in fact, intend on using the leverage I would have as an independent candidate to roll back Trudeau-era firearms regulations.
Right.
Because I've stood in my field. I've had a mare fall out and watched the coyotes on the other side of the fence.
Right.
And just for the record, I have really broken one of my wrists, my right wrist, my shooting hand. So I prefer a rifle with a pistol grip instead of a stock grip because my wrist doesn't work right. So I prefer a pistol grip, but they're banned because they're scary looking. We had good common sense gun control. I want to go back to good common sense gun control. But on the other side of the picture, human rights are human rights. The government does not have a place to tell women their reproductive rights or the LGBTQ plus community how they may or may not present themselves.
Exactly.
So when I say I'm centrist, I mean I'm centrist. I am very much centrist.
Well, this is one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you, because when we read your statement, I'm like, oh, this is a person I want to have a chat with, because we're centrist. We are. We make no bones about it. We lean a little left, but we're centrist because most Canadians, I think, are centrist when it comes down to it, right? I would like to think so anyway.
And that's the feeling I'm getting. Now, there are definitely very much the hardcore conservative in the riding. And I had a lovely conversation with one gentleman today about whether it's appropriate Monsieur Poilièvre is coming in or not. We disagreed. We disagreed very politely because it is still possible to disagree politely. And there's no name calling, there's no insults. There was have a nice day on both sides as I walked away from his door today.
Well, that's the kind of dialogue you want to have, right?
That is exactly what I want to have, and I don't want to be doing this. I will be honest. I will be honest with everybody. I don't want to do this. I want to do this about as much as I actually wanted to deploy to Afghanistan and get rocketed and bombed on every day. Right? It's something I did because I felt it was important. I have seen far too many friends buried under a Canadian flag to go with the separatist crap that we've got going on around here. And it's not as big as it sounds. They're just really loud. But B, to not step up when I see injustices. It's just, it's not right. He lost. And there are many, many reasons for that loss.
Right.
And the more I hear from Carleton is just his complete lack of indifference towards his constituents. And I don't see that changing for us.
Yep.
And my goal, my sole goal right now is to make sure that Battle River-Crowfoot gets to keep a voice in Parliament. And as an independent, in a minority government that's short, 3 seats?
3.
The leverage I would have would be pretty good. I can say to them, sure, you know what, that's palatable to my constituents. I will support that if you support this private member's bill. Right? And that is how I, as an independent, am going to make a difference within Ottawa.
I like that. I like that.
Love
when you're talking about all of this, you didn't want to do this. Clearly, there's a sense of duty. The community doesn't like someone that's parachuted. We had a sense and it was so quick because Prime Minister Carney said, listen, I'm not going to delay anything, no games. And it was like 30 seconds later, hey, I got a seat. I was like, wow, gee, that was a little convenient. And when you say nothing's going to change, well, I mean, we're over here in Ontario and we're like, you named Andrew Scheer the interim leader, so let him lead in the interim. And why is your backside not in Battle River-Crowfoot knocking on the doors because you weren't doing it in Carleton. And look what happened. You went there long enough to walk through a field and film a video and said that you were going to grow and learn, hopefully change. We've seen no growing, no learning, definitely no changing in the rhetoric. And he's not there, but he's doing videos talking about symbolism, I guess, while he himself has an empty coffee cup. And then I see you, right, giving out information about air quality when things are really heavy, saying where you're going to be, making the case for an independent candidate and in this particular case, right?
Mhm.
'Cause independent candidates have a tough road to hoe, but in this
Absolutely.
particular case, it's like literally somebody being parachuted in who's not even taking the time to get the community he says he wants to serve. I mean, this is the textbook on a silver platter case for an independent candidate who
Yes.
acts as actually
Absolutely.
representing,
Especially when you look at it, Mr. Keurig is doing all his campaigning for him.
right?
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He is. He is. In fact, this afternoon I pulled another bit of propaganda out of my mailbox, suggesting that the riding vote for Monsieur Poilièvre.
So that makes me beg the question that I'm sure you've thought this. You don't have to answer or respond. What's the quid pro quo in my mind for Mr. Keurig to just give up his seat so easily when he was 6 months from his pension, when he was elected in a landslide? Would he get 82% of the vote?
Something close to that, yeah.
And he just steps aside for dear leader? Like, it
Well,
doesn't sit well
All I
with
will
me.
say is that is my question.
yeah.
I can't speculate on it,
Mhm.
but that is my question as well.
Yeah,
And
so
I will
we
point out my coffee cup is now empty. So,
If you want to get another coffee, by all means, don't worry about it.
yeah.
We're good.
well, we might take a break here in a few.
All right.
No worries. No
Yes,
worries.
absolutely. Yeah, because we were wondering about that too, because Pierre made such a big deal about transparency again during the election. It's like,
Mhm.
we're sitting there going, shouldn't the terms of that deal be known and transparent? But the thing with this here is you are stepping up. So you saw a need. You said this is not right.
Mhm.
What is the thought process from, hey, this is not right to, well, if not me, who?
Well, that is the thought process.
That,
This isn't
it
right.
was
Somebody needs to do something. Ah, crap! I said those words because if I don't do it, who will?
Well,
I mean,
point,
that's
though.
that's the
sometimes it's
thought
that simple.
process.
Okay.
It's that simple. It is honestly that simple. It was a conversation with family and friends. Because I am aware that there is the Poilievre fan club is going to get very angry with me,
And
Mhm.
you are a woman.
and I am a woman.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's already questions on my gender and blah da blah da blah
Oh
da
my
blah da
God.
blah. Oh
Yeah.
yes, it started.
Of
It
course.
started.
And
And
you knew this going in, right? You knew this
yes, I
going in.
did. And even
22
now, I
years of
think
service. Come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
I just-
Um, and even then, it's I say that to people I'm meeting on the street. I'm like, if you got a question, ask me, send me a message. It might take me a day or three to get through all the vitriol and crap, but I
Yeah.
will do my best to get back to you.
And that's
So,
what people want in a politician. Just acknowledge and respond.
mhm. I
That
have my
carries so much weight. It carries
I have
so
my
much.
notebook. Anybody can ask me a question, and I will write it down and try and get back to them.
Hmm.
So, and I mean, to be clear, I was the second woman in combat arms in my unit, the
Mhm.
King's Own Calgary Regiment, right? And I retired the highest ranked female crewman in the history of my regiment.
That's
Um,
nice.
they might have somebody who outranks me now. I haven't been paying much attention to the regimental chatter. But yeah, I mean, I'm expecting it. It's not the first time. I mean, I even remember back in the late 90s using transit, because I worked downtown Calgary at the Moata Armories, using transit in uniform and people throwing literal garbage at me because I was in uniform on transit in Calgary. So this is not new to me. This is not new to me. Oh yes, it happened. Before 9/11,
Yeah.
Canadians hated the military. Absolutely hated the military. Call it the decade of darkness. Plus, there was Trudeau Senior's amalgamation of forces and gutting of everything, and then it just carried on with successive governments. It's not both liberal and conservative.
Right.
Military brat.
Yeah.
Grew up in Cold Lake. My father
sorry.
retired Air Force. Retired Air Force.
Yeah.
I get it, and my dad is not a fan of Pierre Poilièvre Trudeau.
Nope.
At all, and especially what he did to the military. But the one thing he will always say is he respected him in the sense that he knew he was the man in charge. And that goes back to just watch me. He's like, no other prime minister would have done what he did at that time, right? It called the War Measures Act in when it was necessary.
Right? Appropriately.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, you can dislike somebody's politics, but you can absolutely respect the way they do their job when they comport themselves in a manner that is good for the well-being of everybody. And we're really big fans of everything you've had to say thus far. I'm gonna fanboy out here on you.
Okay, fair enough. Carry on.
Read your platform, read your statements on Facebook, and I said to Mr. Beaver Douglas here, I said, we gotta get Bonnie on the show. I want to talk to this woman. I want to know more about her. Not only the fact that yes, you've served in Afghanistan, you've done all these things in Korea, but the courage that it takes to put yourself out there like that to do what you're doing, knowing full, and you know what you're getting into. You know what
probably better than most. Yeah.
Yes. You know what you're getting into, and it's not an easy thing to do. But we respect the hell out of the fact that you're doing it because we don't like what's taking place either.
Fair enough.
It's not representative of your writing. It's not. You've got this, an Ottawa coddled soft boy from Ottawa. Look, people can pick on me for that. I don't care. He's been here for 25 years.
Yes, he has. He does not know Alberta, and he especially does not know rural Alberta. And rural Alberta, as with most rural communities, has very different requirements than Ottawa or Toronto.
Yes.
Now, I understand that my stance on firearms is going to upset a lot of folks, especially in the urban area. I understand that. I also realize that a lot of the firearm issues are already illegal firearms.
Yes.
It's already illegal firearms filtering north of the border.
Right.
But I can't risk losing my livestock.
No.
Or my dog. There was a badger. It was scary. Because I can't have a rifle.
Yeah. I've always wondered about that. Why? I know transportation and stuff like that's different, but there's got to be a way to have some type of law that applies in the cities for some things that does not apply in rural areas. Right? There's got to be some type of way because we will always have a rural urban thing, and the realities are just different, and you can't apply you just can't apply urban rules in a rural setting. It's just not the same thing. It's not the same life. I don't have to, if I see a gopher in my backyard, I don't have to shoot it.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have livestock to protect. You don't have crops to protect. A rifle to a farmer starts with T and ends with OOL.
It's a tool.
That's what it is.
It absolutely is a tool. It absolutely is a tool.
I'm just sort of like, nobody's ever proposed anything like that. I mean, again, I don't know how practical it is because I know people move
and then you start getting, that's a swampy mess right there.
Right.
What I'm advocating for is common sense gun control. Now, even if we were to take the rural urban divide out of it, you realize we just sent a world champion shooter pistol,
Mhm.
2 worlds without a firearm.
Oh God.
Do you realize that our biathletes are struggling?
Yes.
Yes.
Multiple sport has been absolutely decimated by this fear-mongering Band-Aid make feel good policy that makes no sense. They banned a coffee brand because it had the words Black Rifle in it.
Okay, that's
Yeah, they
This
banned
is
Black
the
Rifle
stuff that
coffee
makes
initially.
this is the stuff that makes people hate progressives.
yes.
Yeah. And BB guns. Yes. They also airsoft guns and whatnot were put on the banned list.
Okay, that's absurd because I have friends in town here in Ottawa who have airsoft rifles. Now,
Exactly, and that's my point. It's not just the urban rural divide. It's putting sport in this country to shame. We have been known as shooters, as fantastic shooters for decades. Canadian snipers have held records, some of the longest.
Yeah.
I don't know if the longest sniper shot is currently Canadian. I'm a little out of date. Last I checked, it was, but I think there might have been a British fellow who beat that shot.
Okay.
Well, you do remember, what was it, Operation Anaconda, when the U.S. Rangers went out on patrol? They absolutely would not go out without Canadian snipers on their shoulders. They said, no, we're not doing it. It was the U.S. generals who said, no, without them, we're not going out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not even just the rural-urban divide. And yes, like I said, I can empathize with folks in Toronto, with folks in Ottawa and Montreal or in Vancouver, where the illegal firearms coming across the border. But this performative slapstick policy does nothing but harm Canadians.
Well, it's like the broad strokes, right? There's like they're painting everyone with the same brush, and that just it's not good.
We had good common sense gun regulations. I like people having to be licensed, or if there was mental health instabilities, you had to get signed off on. I have PTSD. I would have to get my therapist to sign off on it. I like the fact that everybody learns. Now, I understand firearms are scary, but I grew up with them. I know what is a safe firearm and what is not, and how to treat a firearm as if it's not safe all the time. It's not just something that's going to jump out and bite me.
Right.
But I can understand that lack of exposure is going to lead to an increase in fear.
Oh, yes.
Well, we're taught to fear what we don't know. Which is right. On that issue, when they're talking about sort of like red flag and yellow flag laws for people, who might be in a situation where they might not use them responsibly. Our point of view, when we say this on the show, is that responsible gun owners are the first to ask for responsible legislation. So I was sort of wondering how you fall on that.
Absolutely. Like I said, we had good common sense gun regulation, and then the Nova Scotia shooting that Trudeau Jr. used, as even if that weapon was known to be illegal and come across the border anyways. That was not something he purchased here in Canada. Well, he might have purchased it legally in Canada, but it was not an appropriate purchase. And that is the incident he held up as the example to start these sweeping regulations that killed firearms sport in Canada, that makes the farmers' lives miserable, that makes it so that guys in the military with budget cuts can't get enough bullets, so they go buy their own rifle and their own bullets, and now they're not allowed to go practice on the range, right?
Right.
These are things that are affected by just a bandaged performative set of legislation.
See, but that piece of information that you gave was very important because that was not very heavily publicized.
No.
Of course not.
About the origin of that gun.
No.
Because it kind of changes everything.
Yes.
It was in the early news reports, and then people started talking, and it didn't come up again.
One of our viewers, who is a contributor from time to time, is a history teacher. He served in the Navy. He
Mhm.
has a rifle range. He will self-identify as a left-wing NDP voting socialist. He will identify as this, but he also owns several rifles and pistols and has a rifle range, and did not appreciate any. And we've talked about it on the show. He did not appreciate any of the changes to the Canadian gun laws.
Nope.
So it's not a right-left thing,
No.
right? It's they went too far, and it was too broad. They painted everyone with the same brush. And like I said, this is a gentleman who is a history teacher,
Mhm.
served in the Navy, and he'll be the first to say he comes from a place of privilege.
Mhm.
But he has a rifle range, and he's like, "Come out to the range. Let's do some target shooting." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down with that. I want to do that this summer."
Mhm. But that whole thing, because I remember with that whole thing, there was like the first version of that law,
Mhm.
and it seemed that everybody was sort of agreeing, and then somewhere in the middle of it, there was like this whole bunch of amendments that came up, and there were a whole bunch of stuff in there. And I was like, "What the hell? Like, why would you do that? You were like 2 steps away from having the agreement." Like, it was weird because we were hearing on both sides, right? We were hearing out from your perspective, it's like, why are you trying to ruin our lives? And then the people who actually wanted these tighter regulations going like, why did you do that? You just killed any chance of us getting it. And like,
Mhm.
you're just going to turn people against. And like,
They
it got
banned
ruined from
coffee.
both sides.
Yeah.
That was like like even on the show, it's like, we're like, listen, we are urban. I guess, and we were like, what the hell? Like that just does not
Mhm.
make sense. And to just and it just got sprung on people.
Yep. They banned coffee. Like,
Yeah.
Oh lordy. Okay. Let's talk about this because that was just too weird.
Um,
Um,
if
yeah.
they do that, they're gonna have a real problem, because if I don't have my coffee in the morning, this grizzly gets very, very angry. Speaking of,
I can, yeah, I can relate.
yeah.
I
I'll be right
absolutely
back.
can
I have to
relate.
take
Yeah.
care of something. There's somebody at my door. I apologize. I'll be back in just a couple of moments.
okay. Bunny, I wanted to ask you because you mentioned something that really got stuck in my ear when you said that Damien Couric was doing Pierre's campaigning for him there.
Yes.
When we saw him stand in the house in one of the first days and say that he was saying giving his farewell speech, we were sitting there going, "What? I mean, don't you need to be there for the rest of this session at least? Because, I mean, there is going to be no by-election before that. So, I mean, like, why are you giving your farewell speech, your first speech and your farewell speech now?
There
Like,
really
there's a
isn't
whole
even a
other
choice.
month of stuff. And like you just like filled in the blank for us because if he's doing the campaign there, right? So he's elected, which makes it me think that he's gonna might have difficulty having getting his job back because if he got elected and he's going to give up his seat, that's one thing people might not like it. But for the time he has the seat during, especially this 1 month, if he's not there but in the writing campaigning for Pierre, he doesn't seem to be doing what an MP should be doing. So for you, when you look at the job of an MP, I guess, what is it for you?
It is to be a voice for my neighbors and to take their voice to Ottawa, even if I'm one in the crowd in the Parliament, in the House of Commons. Even if I am one voice, I am still the voice for my neighbors. And it is important to me that I and my neighbors get to maintain a voice in the House of Commons. That we can say, well, yeah, that's great legislation for Toronto, but here's how it's going to mess up things down in Stettler or in Drumheller
Mhm.
or in special area number 3, which is a giant wide open area. We have a few special areas as our counties. That
Mhm.
this is how this is going to adversely affect us. What can we do to mitigate these effects? Um, Plus, as I said, I can introduce things as a private member's bill.
Mm.
And if the minority liberals want my support for whatever legislation they want to pass, they need to support my private member's bill. And this is how I can do things. As I talk to my neighbor, I can discuss either grain prices or fires come through. So fire or disaster relief for my neighbors.
Right.
Because my neighbors feed the country. They're not the only ones, but my neighbors feed the country.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Yeah.
In grain and beef. A lot of folks here are also within the oil industry, right? So they are. I realize there's a lot of issues and controversy around that, but as it stands, we need our fuel out and to get it to refineries. That does need to happen right now. We can discuss changes and we can discuss adding variety into the industry in Alberta. But right now, we need it out of the ground and to refineries.
Mhm.
One of the things that's always troubled me is that why, the Heritage Fund and the amount of money in the province, why is there no refinery in Alberta?
That I don't know. And I'm gonna guess, and this is just a wild guess, is it's not. There is a refinery in Edmonton, but it can't handle our bitumen.
Right.
Why don't we build? I don't know. Is it more cost effective for the assorted oil companies to ship it elsewhere?
Because we ship it to Texas, right? And they refine it there, and then they sell it on the open market, and we sell it to them at a discounted rate. And
Exactly. I would like to see refineries in Alberta
Mm-hmm.
so that we can process our own stuff. And we don't have to be shipping heavy bitumen via pipelines.
Or train, right?
Or train. Yep, train is, I read that this morning too. Right? I remember when Rachel Notley said, okay, you won't let us build a pipeline. So she cut it up into 30-foot segments and sent it via train. I remember these things.
Right.
Sorry, a little bit of hat head going on because I was wearing my hat all day today. So.
Right.
I don't have that anymore, so I'm jealous. So don't. I would love to be able to say I have hat head. Believe me.
Yeah. So these are the things as a member of parliament that we discuss as federal policy.
Right.
I would love to get into education and healthcare, but that's provincial policy. I can't touch that as a member of
Thank you for
parliament.
saying that. Like, I'm so happy that, a member of somebody running to be a member of parliament actually knows how that works, because it seems that a lot of federal members of parliament are blaming healthcare issues on whatever government is in power. And we all know, those of us who are well enough to know or educated enough to know or have read enough to know, that that's a provincial responsibility. So
That is a provincial responsibility. I'd love to get my fingers in it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm running for federal politics.
When
right
I hear
now,
federal politicians carry on about healthcare and the housing, and I'm like, those are provincial responsibilities. Why are you're confusing Canadians by saying these things? These are things that are not in your mandate.
Exactly. Now, as a soldier, I would love to see healthcare go federal, not provincial. Because let me tell you, as you bounce back and forth between provinces, it's confusing as all get out.
Military kid, I know.
Every 3 years we moved. It's confusing and it's painful.
Right.
And so, yes, I would love to see healthcare go federally. Especially right now, seeing the brain drain in Alberta.
Oh, yeah.
It's brutal.
Well, and what was
I'm already hearing rumors that my local doctor wants to pull pin and leave.
What was the hospital that was, they diverted funds from a public hospital and sent...
In Airdrie.
In Airdrie, they sent public money to build a private hospital in Airdrie. I'm like...
But again, provincial, so I can't touch it.
No, I know, but this is why it should be federal, to stop things like that.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to see healthcare go federal, not provincial. It's not, I can't currently touch it. I can bring it up as a suggestion, but I can't currently touch it as much as I'd like to.
Mhm.
Well,
So-
it's just so refreshing to hear somebody who wants to run for a federal office who understands how the system works.
Mhm.
Because the last few years we've been getting so the reason we have the show is we get frustrated by federal politicians and provincial politicians obfuscating the responsibilities of each individual. And it's like, wait a minute. People look, you can hate Justin Trudeau for whatever, but at least hate him for the right reasons.
Exactly.
If you're hating him because your healthcare sucks, that's not his responsibility. You need to talk to your premier.
Yeah, you do. If you were to look at the very last thing I posted, it was a breakdown of municipal, provincial, and federal responsibilities. And these are the ones I'm going to touch on. National defense, absolutely, that is very important to me.
Goes without saying.
Right? It's this is something I'd like to work with, and our new CDS. I like what she has to say thus far.
We do.
I
too.
like what she has to say thus far.
Mhm.
Now, I remember Uncle Walt, the Tinchuk. He was Uncle Walt. And I remember working for him. Now, there's a man I would have done a lot for as a soldier. I would have followed him anywhere as a soldier. And you need a soldier or sailor or air personnel. Just because I'm Army doesn't mean it's horribly bad to be other forces.
It's all
Horribly,
shade, right?
horribly.
That's a little bit of shade. A little bit of shade.
Air Force
I know
kids,
shade.
My
It's all good.
my grandparents, both my grandmother and my grandfather, served in the Royal Canadian Air Force. I still call it Chair Force.
Well, my grandfather was initially Royal Canadian Horse Artillery in World War
Okay.
I.
Yep.
He grew up on a farm in Warkworth, Ontario, and then he became Canadian Machine Gun Corps. He wanted to be a tank commander, but when he was out on patrol on the horses, they'd come across tanks and they'd look inside, and he went, "No, I don't want to be a tank commander anymore." Yeah, you've seen, yeah. Well, that's how
Yeah.
Michaela was. Wasn't Michaela Conlon? Was she in a LAV? She was in a LAV, I think.
She was in a lab, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was up above the turret.
Yes.
And yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Hatches up and hatches down is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a thing. But so yes, national defense is also in my purview as a member of parliament.
Right.
And this is something that's important, especially given that I've got CFB Wainwright sitting in this riding. Because it's now actually a base. It's no longer just Camp Wainwright. It's actually a CFB. It's Canadian Forces Base now.
When did that change? Is that fairly recent?
I think so.
Because I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's when they switched from LFWA to 3rd Div, from land forces to third divisions again, I believe.
Okay. It's hard to keep track, especially when I'm kind of divorced from it now. You know, I mean, my father retired. He took the FRP back in '93.
Okay.
So, and I was long since out of the home at that point. I'm 57 now. So I'll be 57 in a couple of weeks. So, you know, but it's still, I have friends who still serve. I have friends who retired in the last couple of years. I've had friends who, one of my good buddies here in town, he was artillery and then he remustered and became a SARTEC, and he retired as a SARTEC. And we hang out all the time.
I'm going to interrupt you. For those who don't understand, SARTEC is a search and rescue technician. I've gotten very good at translating my military babble into not military babble.
And you know what? That's important, because I will say stuff like that. And my father worked with the SARTECs when we lived in Gander in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. And Gander. Woo.
Yeah, we were there from 77 to 80. And my wife is always like, "Oh, yeah, this is Gord. this is Paul's dad. He was a SARTEC. And I'm like, no, he was not a SARTEC. He served with the SARTECs. My father was a jet engine and helicopter engine specialist. So he flew with them on missions. But he'd be the first guy to go, I was not a SARTEC. And it's the most respected, I think, thing in the military. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is SARTECs? They're like
one of them, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen badass
They're
soldiers go SARTEC. Oh shit, you know.
Those and the munitions divers in the Navy. Ooh,
Yes.
wee.
Yeah, because they go into places where everybody else is running away from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
No,
I got way off topic. I apologize.
that's
Mr. Beaver,
fine,
please.
because you know what? I'm going to use that to segue. And then from there, from the national defense aspect, as we sit here and start do the old soldier chewing on tails thing, you got to look at back to Monsieur Poilièvre refuses to get his security clearance.
Yeah, that.
Thank you.
And then he says it's a gag order. And I'm like, well, I sure as heck hope that he's not giving away classified information to people. That he only wants to discuss classified information with people who have the appropriate classification. Because I don't need my former colleagues, my friends, I still have family serving. I don't need them getting injured or killed because he has decided he wants to share this classified information with somebody who doesn't have the appropriate clearances.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that one. That's a stick in our craw for that one.
That is a major issue for me, and I've been through that process several times because you got to renew it every few years.
Yep.
Or if you increase your security clearance, it gets even deeper.
Oh yes.
So how on earth is he supposed to keep the liberals honest if he doesn't know what he doesn't know?
Thank you.
This is what we've been.
How does he say, okay, no, Minister of Defense, that's not right. As leader of the opposition, I'm looking to keep you in check. But if he doesn't know what he doesn't know, how could he possibly do that? Because I know how intensive that process is. So what the hell is he hiding?
Well, and this is the question we have. What is he hiding? Because if you are not willing to submit to that, and you're hoping I'll become prime minister, then I don't have to worry about it because I get it automatically. And we're kind of like, yeah, we'd like to see the rules change so that every leader of every party has to undergo that security screening clearance.
And premier.
Number one. And it's not automatic when you're prime minister.
No.
It shouldn't. And I go, well, it should be. And I'm like, no, it shouldn't be. And here's why I'll say this. And I've had people argue with me, but here's why I say it shouldn't be. Because if you cannot pass as the leader of the party, when you become the prime minister, you don't get it automatically. But somebody within your organization does go through the screening process and have that information and then can tell you what you need to know when you need to know it. Because as Pierre Poilièvre said, well, no, Trudeau will just read something and stamp it top secret, and then I can't talk about it. And I'm like, that is not how it works.
No.
No prime minister has ever said this is secret. It's a separate entity that does that.
Absolutely. And it's not that he can't talk about it. He can't talk about it with people who don't have that classification. Exactly. And they don't have that classification for a reason. And I want that information that protects my friends, family, and former colleagues, including kids I trained.
Yes.
I want to protect them. I don't want this information out in the general public. So my question for him is, what is he hiding? Because that is inappropriate, absolutely. And he cannot do his job as the leader of the opposition if he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Yep. I like what you said that, because whether he is hiding something or not, let's put it this way, because not having it does not allow him to do the job. And I do not understand why it's not a requirement. Like when you sign those papers to run in a party leadership, you must also sit for that clearance. And if you do not get it, you get disqualified as a candidate for that party leadership.
I agree, 100%.
That simple.
This is how absurd this is to me, that it's not an automatic. You have to go through this process. The company I was working for a few years ago, they had me sign all the papers, do all the things, fill out all the things for top secret clearance for a project that I didn't end up working on. So I did everything but the interview. The job was, it was working in the RCMP HQ. I would not be privy to any information at all of anything. I was doing audiovisual work. But here's the thing. just for me to set foot in that building, and I needed to have a laptop and a phone, I had to have top secret clearance. Now I ended up getting moved on to a different project. So I did everything but the interview. I had a couple of colleagues that did the interview, and I remember vividly, they said, "Oh yeah, I have my interview today." And I go, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow." No, I'll be back this afternoon. I'm like, "No, you won't. No, you won't. Because they're
No.
going to ask you questions that are really going to send you for a spin." And if sure enough, 4 hours later, "Yeah, I'm going to take the day off." I'm like, "Yeah, I know you are. I know."
It's intensive, and it's
Yes.
intensive for a reason.
Yes.
And my concern is foreign interference at this point.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we just talked about that on our show this morning, how Jagmeet Singh has been under RCMP protection for the last 18 months because of a apparent threat to his life by an agent of the Indian government.
Yes.
So I'm like, that's not good.
No.
Yeah, I wonder if Modi's still going to come now.
Yeah, I hear
Especially
that a lot. I'm assuming yes. I mean,
Well, there's that, and then there was the Air India crash earlier. So I mean,
yeah.
he does have a convenient safe face. Oh well, there's a disaster at home, so I need to stay
Yes.
home.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it
But,
might happen.
it might.
Oh
Mhm.
man. Okay. Since you talked about national defense as well, but we didn't talk a lot about it. You're a veteran.
Yes.
I am sure you have some thoughts about how we are doing, and probably not right all we can by our veterans.
So how about that local sports team?
Okay. We're gonna be here for a while. Please.
No, I get it. Completely understand.
Please say more.
We watched Prime Minister yesterday talk about the spending for NATO and for soldiers and pay
Mhm.
rises, and I'm like, he said a lot of things that I heard that I interpreted for myself as a civilian sounded good. As a civilian with a slightly more unique viewpoint into the military, because Air Force brat,
Mhm.
base brat, right? But we do want to speak. And a friend of mine who lives in Edmonton, Army Chris. I'm going to reach out to him and try and get him on the show so we can have get his take on it as well. But we'd love to hear your take on what you think. If you're willing to speak about it, don't feel pressured. If you don't want to, don't worry about it. But what do you think about what the Prime Minister recently said about how they want to go about spending more money, increasing pay, increasing personnel, increasing equipment, and bringing NATO up to 2%? And what are your thoughts?
Well, I thought the move pulling the Coast Guard in under the D&D mantle from Oceans and Fisheries was quite clever.
Mhm.
Truth be told, I never did understand why the Coast Guard was separated from the rest of the forces. It just doesn't really make any sense, especially when we discuss SARTEX.
Yes.
They've got to work hand in hand.
Mhm.
The Coast Guard has to work hand in hand with the Navy,
Yes.
with the Air Force. So I never did understand why they were separated. But no, it's good. I mean, in Afghanistan, the thing with the Canadians is because we've been so chronically underfunded. If we were to look at the guys down south, they're very one task. If you fix bumpers on Humvees for your career, you're going to do that for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. I've pretended to be a supply technician, and resource clerk, armored crewman, all sorts of things. I have a very large skill set. Me as a reservist, armored crewman, ended up getting an account that managed all the material that left Afghanistan, left CAF.
That's a very large account.
Yeah, it was fun. Um,
No doubt.
but because we've been so chronically underfunded, everybody has their specialty, but they have the capability to do other stuff as well. And this has led to very unique military and a very unique mindset. I would love to see what that unique mindset can do with equipment that you don't have to push start. Push start in the morning. Remember the old Iltis. Our morning PT was push starting and popping the clutch to get those things running in the morning.
Which let's face it, for new recruits, they're like, "What's a clutch?" I mean, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but I mean, realistically, what's a clutch?
Yeah.
A lot of car like Honda doesn't make a manual transmission for North America anymore.
It makes me very sad.
BMW doesn't anymore. Me too. My last car was a Honda Civic 6-speed manual transmission. That's driving. That's actually driving. Automatic, I get, sure, whatever. But if I eventually will be driving electric cars, but I'd really like if I could shift, even if it doesn't,
Yeah, I mean, when I bought my truck, I have a Ram 3500, an old like 2000. Yeah, because I was hauling horses.
Yeah, and you need that power.
And I need that power. I would have had to pay extra for manual transmission. But we're getting into the weeds here. We're getting into the weeds.
Sorry. Yeah, that's my fault. I apologize.
For the national defense question, yes, I want to see what the unique military mindset that Canada brings, because we don't have any mandated service. We don't have any mandated service.
Right.
At all. I want to see what that unique mentality and attitude can do with equipment that isn't falling out of the sky, with vehicles that aren't breaking down on the side of the road. I want to see what we can do with that, because I bet you it's some pretty wicked things.
Anybody who has ever served with CAF members, any other forces around the world, have said, you guys and gals do some amazing things with very limited
exactly.
Right? I mean, our snipers are the best in the world because they have the proper tools. They have the proper tools, right? There was a point in time when they were using, I mean, shit, the Canadian Rangers, they're using Enfield rifles, for Christ's sake. That's
well, those work better in Arctic conditions, let me tell you.
Well, that's true, right? It's true. I mean,
right?
I mean, couldn't we get them something a little bit better?
I don't know. Maybe they were banned under the firearms regulations.
It's entirely possible too.
But yeah, I'm really happy to see that. What I'd like to see is more money towards Veterans Affairs. I'd like to see proper staffing levels at Veterans Affairs.
Yeah, and
I mean, I still remember when the Harper government, they gave back $1 billion of money allocated to Veterans Affairs. Veterans Affairs handed it back to the Treasury after shuttering multiple offices.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron O'Toole, former CAF member. Really?
Oh,
like, really?
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with Mr. O'Toole. I do respect him, and there is a point where now this leads into, it's fantastic being an independent because I don't have to vote. I don't have to do things according to the party line if it's contrary to what I need. I've worked with Mr. O'Toole. I'm not going to lie. I have mad respect for the man. He tries within the bounds that he's allowed to work in. He tries. He does do his best. And I will give him that.
When he left, he did say, we need to bring the party. The reason they kicked him out was he was trying to bring the party more to the center.
Yes, he was.
And he said, look, you cannot govern with TikTok and Twitter and sound bites and video clips on YouTube. He goes, this is not how you govern. This is not how you do this. So I have many issues with him, but I will respect him when it comes to things like that.
Yeah.
I've never met the man, but I think he does love this country.
Yeah.
And when he was in charge of Veterans Affairs, I think he did what he was told. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yes. And I do believe so, because I've seen him outside of that working with the charities who are picking up the slack. And he's doing his best with the charities that are picking up the slack.
Hmm.
which is where as an independent, you have a little bit more leeway.
Because I don't have to toe the party line.
Indeed, indeed.
So I hope
Um,
we actually answered the question about defense and defense spending. I hope I actually got there instead of getting too in the weeds with old war stories.
Okay, that's my fault. I'm terrible for that because I'm a chatty Cathy and I just go down the pathway.
with regard to veterans, in the recent announcement, um, when they were talking about meeting the target, they were talking about including money spent on veterans.
Mhm.
Now, my personal take on it is that if you are showing Canadians that you are going to probably take care of veterans, that can only help boost recruitment and retention. So it's not a waste.
Absolutely. Because
Now,
right now I'm like, don't join the army.
okay.
It took me 5 years of fighting to get my things sorted out for PTSD.
My father took 10 years for an injury he suffered in the early 70s. 10 years. And he turns 84 this summer.
Mhm.
Uh, and I said to him, Dad, you need, he was ready to give it up. And I said, you can't do that. Both my sisters and my mother were like, you're not giving this up. They're waiting for you to either get too tired of fighting and walking away or dropping dead.
Exactly.
You are owed this money. You sacrificed your body for your country. You are owed. Like, he can barely walk now. He suffered an injury in the early 70s. He walked into the medic's office, and the medic said, well, you walked in, you can walk out.
So
Yeah.
in these,
Well, part of that is the subculture within the forces, right? Because I'm trying to deal with claims for my ankles, knees, and my hip. And being one of the very few women to do what I would do, you think I went to the medics every time? No. So there's no documentation. I mean, I'm limping now. I'm 44 years old. And I can barely get up and down my stairs in the morning.
I worked in construction for 30 years, 29 years actually. And Mr. Beaver has seen me get up off my couch and just stumble and struggle because my back is so messed up. My knees are so messed up. My shoulders are done. I'm starting a new job in a few weeks where it'll be a desk job because that's the limit of what I can do. But the difference between you and I is because I worked for all these private sector companies, I have zero recourse because many of these companies don't even exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'd hurt myself on the job and somebody says, go to the hospital, get it. And I go, well, I'm not. He goes, go to the hospital and get it documented. And I started doing that eventually because I realized that when I get older, and now I am, I will pay for this. But here's the thing. I have no recourse, none. Sure, it's documented. That company doesn't exist anymore. Sorry, Paul, you're on your own.
Sorry,
With
there
me,
was
Paul.
a question over there before we squirreled again.
Sorry.
thank you. So in the context of this, James Bazan, who is the critic for defense, and he's been on this file forever, was all over the news, pretty much mocking the fact that these funds, that what we spend on veterans, would be included as part of our contribution to NATO. And I'm just wondering, like, that struck me as very weird. And I'm just wondering, do you see any reason for which it should not be included?
No, because it's the cost of war. It's
Exactly.
the cost of war. If you're going to send guys over, you got to be prepared to deal with the consequences.
So, in this by-election, when it happens, you will be running against somebody who was there for when the military spending dropped to 0.9% and said and
Mhm.
did nothing, presented no private members bill, did nothing. When the veterans were cut, said and did nothing. And right now, was in government for 10 years, didn't do much, and now in opposition for 10 years, wrapped himself in veterans, wrapped himself in the military. We need to be strong and all that kind of stuff. And now, as we're going to this, has people going out while he's saying, yeah, I think defense is good, saying that, oh, there's some creative accounting afoot when these are all numbers that NATO has agreed to. They agree what's in and out, and all the countries follow the same formula. Who's, mocking the fact that veterans would be included in the calculation. When you look at this, like, I know that I am more center. I'm center right on certain things, center left on other things. But with the conservatives and the veterans used to be a core constituency. And it was the
Yeah.
veterans that told us all those years ago to vote ABC. And I just keep on looking at them again and again and again, sending these messages that are, to me, disrespectful when it comes to our military. That whole, and then they claim that they want to lead Canada and they want to have, govern over us. They want to legislate for us, and they say that they are going to keep us safe and strong in face of a threat that we have right now. We're in an existential threat from what the United States is saying, and how close they seem to be Russia, and Russia doesn't have much love for us either. It's like I keep on saying, like, we're the meat in like an authoritarian sandwich. When you hear this talk, like, you're going to be running against this candidate who does not seem to have any real respect for the military. He says it, he talks a good game, but words and deeds don't matter here. And he's going to be in this context, like you said, there's separation, and you fought for this country. Yes. And he's going to be going into that riding, and he's going to be asked every day to give a full-throated support to what Danielle Smith is doing. And he's going to be stuck. Like, I just see so many opportunities for you to just like step up and be very, very clear when he's going to have his shoelaces tied and he's going to be trying to run. Do you have sort of like a take on this sort of like whole vibe of not being able to give a full-throated defense of Canada?
The problem we're dealing with is team politics. We're dealing with politics where it's my team versus your team. Regardless of what your team or my team says or does, it's my team and your team. Regardless. If we want to look at the veteran element, I have quite a few very angry, very conservative veterans who have decided that I hate all conservatives because I've challenged Monsieur Poilièvre.
Okay.
Je m'excuse, Monsieur Poilièvre. I didn't quite get that right.
Which is dependent upon what part of the country it's Poilièvre or Poilièvre.
Yeah.
He changes it.
Yeah, but I am bilingual French. You'd think I could at least get it right?
No worries, no worries.
What?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
He presented himself as Poilièvre for like 14 years and then
Yeah.
switched to Poilièvre. So I mean,
Yeah, all of a sudden he became Poilièvre from Poilièvre.
even I was calling him Poilièvre, and I'm French. So.
I live in Ottawa. I don't speak French, but I can sound like I do, and I'm like, Monsieur Poilièvre. No, it's Poilièvre. What?
Anyway, you were saying, Bonnie.
Anyway.
But there's, like I said, it's team politics, and that is what he's banking on when he comes here. Is entirely the team politics. Is the people who are just too tired to look into it further, and they're just my team or your team. That's what he's banking on. And
head right there. Yeah.
How do you campaign against that?
You do and you don't.
Okay.
You have to accept that a lot of people are just stuck on their teams. They're regardless of what I have to say or what he says to them or about them, it doesn't matter. They're stuck on their teams. So you just have to accept that and don't try to fight with it. The best I can do is say, Okay, you know what? That's fair. And I can understand why you would feel that way. I feel this way because X. And I'm not going to give simple, easy answers. That's what people want, and they're not going to get it from me. I am not going to give the simple, easy answer. I am going to look for the layers. I am going to look for the grays in between the black and the white. I am going to give a full, well-rounded answer. I'm not going to say, slap Band-Aid on, it is now X. So
Yeah, that
it's
reminds me.
yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
for the people who are upset. I am here to give them a voice. I actually do have a chance to win because I happen to know enough of my neighbors are choked.
Mhm.
But
Right.
it is a small chance. It is, and I'll admit that.
We're pulling
But I'm
for you.
going to do my darndest.
We're pulling for you. I mean that legitimately. If I could go and vote for you, I would. I mean
I
that legitimately.
appreciate that.
No, it's
But
because I read what you had to say, and I'm like, I'm on board. I'm on board.
yeah,
You're a centrist, and I think most Canadians are. I think most Canadians are. Eh, There was you were alluding to the your team versus my team thing, and that reminded me of a story of a colleague of ours and a friend we've had on the show a couple of times. He's in Alberta, and he said he was at a diner one day and they were doing a questionnaire and they were asking people, who are you going to vote for? Who are you going to vote for? And there was a father and a son. And the father said, well, I'm voting conservative. And the son said, what? He says, yeah, I'm voting for the UCP in the provincial election. He goes, but Dad, I'm gay. They don't want me to exist. He goes, but I've always voted conservative. Your team versus my team. And it's like
yes.
sometimes you have to change teams when it will harm those that you love. And this was a father who loved his openly out gay son, but no, I have to vote conservative. I've always. It's like no. He's like, Dad, you're voting against my existence.
Hmm.
What are you doing? But I've always voted that way. Okay, so don't do that now. It just
Like I said, people are tired. People are angry, but people are tired,
and they
and they
rely on
want
that.
and they want the easy answer.
Yeah.
And I can understand. I can understand that
Hmm.
to a degree. That just yes, I would also very much like an easy answer. I do not want to be doing this. Like I said, I want to do this about as much as I actually wanted to deploy to Afghanistan and get bombed every day. I mean, yeah, but it can't. Somebody's got to stand up. And when I look around and say somebody has to stand up, I'm like, well, crap. I can't expect somebody else to stand up for me because it's just never been that way. I got to do the standing up.
Well, this is why we respect you and admire you so much because
Well, I appreciate that.
well, no, you're stepping up and doing something that takes a lot of courage, a lot of bravery, and you know what you have to put. You know what you're getting into, right? You
Oh, yes.
clearly know what you're getting into, and not a lot of people who get into that game understand what they're getting themselves into. And it's different today than it was, say, 30, 40 years ago. 30, 40
It is
years
the
ago, there was not
rise
a
of social
24-hour.
media.
Exactly. There was a 24-hour news cycle 30 years ago, but there was people didn't have these,
Hmm.
right? So you need to have very thick skin, and you also, and something Mr. Beaver has taught me over the last couple of years was, Paul, that's bait. Mr. Grizzly, that's bait. Walk away. Don't answer. I know they're throwing those things at you, and you feel the need to respond. Don't do it. Ignore it. Or shut them down by saying something positive like, well, I hope you have a wonderful day. Because one of the things that Mr. Beaver taught me was that if you take the bait, you're just going to go down and they're going to drag you down to where they want you. And you're going to get harmed in the process. And they will just enjoy it.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't even remember what Mr. Beaver's last question was at this point, so I hope I answered it. I do hope I answered it
My fault.
appropriately.
It's okay. I just we're getting near the end of our time because I know you have to go, and plus we want to watch the Oilers game, I'm sure.
Yes, I do.
Yes, of course.
um, First of all, well, my final two questions would be: if people want to help, how can they help? Number one, And number two, as what is, like, after listening to all of this, if the viewers leave this show with one thing, what is it that you want them to remember?
Right. I'm going to go for first question first. And I hate to say it, I really do. Honestly, it's finances. I am not part of a $1 million monstrosity of a of a political party. While donations before the election is called are not cannot receive tax receipts, I still need it.
Yes.
So that the instant the election's called and I'm confirmed as a candidate, because I can't be, myself or Monsieur Poilièvre cannot be confirmed as candidates until the election is called and the returning officer stands up.
Right.
Then we can be confirmed as candidates. Once that happens, then all donations can get our tax receipt. But the instant that happens, this is going to be a short, nasty little campaign. I don't have time to wait to get enough funds to get my signs out and to get my volunteers and start driving across this riding, 52,000 square kilometers.
That's a big place. That's a good chunk of real estate.
I can't afford to have the delay in waiting for funds. So for those folks who are willing to forego the tax receipt, you just go to my website. There's instructions under the donations page. I would really, really appreciate it, because that is my guess, my prediction. My prediction is that he's just going to throw money at it.
Oh yeah, and he's got a truckload of money to throw at it too, right?
And it's just going to blanket the writing in his signs, and I can't compete with that, but I can certainly get my name and my face out there. And to do that, I need money, and I hate asking. I really do.
I understand.
But if people are willing to forego the tax donation or give me a small chunk beforehand, and then once the election started, give me a bigger chunk and get that tax receipt, I'd really appreciate it.
All right. For those who are listening here, I
Sweet.
have for those who are listening, because we have it in podcast form as well. If you would like to help, you can send an e-transfer to help Bonnie Critchley to Bonnie Critchley Independent at outlook.com. That's Critchley, Critchley, Bonnie with two N's, of course, IE, and at outlook.com. And I'll try to post it. I think I can post it in the chat here so that while we're doing it, so that the viewers can see it.
Put it in the link.
Yeah. And is there any other way that they can help directly?
For those in the riding, I need volunteers. People can head to www.bonniecritchleyindependent.com, and that's where all my information is. My platform is there. Way to message me is there, as well as the donation information, and that's bonniecritchleyindependent.com.
I'll distribute this to friends, family, and colleagues in Edmonton and Calgary to try and get the word out to as many people as they can. I mean, they might not be in the riding, but they can still donate because they're in Alberta.
Absolutely. You just have to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident in order to do so.
Oh, so we can donate here as well?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you had to be just Oh, well, that changes the game. That changes the game.
This is a federal by-election. This is not provincial.
Yes, right. Thank you. Yeah.
And this is why I would wanted to have Bonnie Critchley on the show.
You know what? Here's the thing, I should know better. It completely slipped my mind.
That's fine. It's to a maximum donation of $1,725. That is the maximum under Elections Canada regulations that an individual. Now, I also can't accept donations from corporations or unions. It has to be individual, and it can't be third party. It must be direct.
Correct. Okay.
Right.
So
we're going to do our best to try and get the message out to as many people as possible, because like I said, when I saw your Facebook post a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, this is what we want to see. This is a Canadian who it does not like what has just taken place, and wants to make things better for the constituency that you actually reside in and actually care about. You're not
Yeah.
getting parachuted in. And that was the thing. It was only, they're parachuting this guy in because he lost his seat. Why did he lose his seat? Well, talk to the people at Carleton and you'll find out why he lost his seat. He's been
He
campaigning
didn't show up.
prime minister. He's been campaigning to be prime minister for almost 3 years, which again is not a position you run for in this country. It's not a position. Sorry, I get upset.
He didn't show up. But yes, this is why if you look at my Facebook, there's also that open letter to the longest ballot committee to just not. Please just
We
stay
feel
out
the
of it.
same way. We feel
Let-
the same way.
Let myself and my neighbors figure this out without other people throwing things in from the side.
Just because it's legal
that's
doesn't
my
mean
ask.
it's right. It's legal, but it's not right. It's wrong. It's disruptive to
I
the democratic process.
agree. From my reading, the poor election staff, normally done by 10 or 11 at night in their time frame, weren't done until 4:30 in the morning because of these things.
Yeah.
So, like I said, to the longest ballot committee, just please don't.
Just don't.
Let my neighbors and I figure this out without throwing marbles under our feet. We don't need it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now, sorry. Yes, Mr. Beaver,
worries.
you had asked a second question. Would you please re-ask it?
Absolutely. So after this, if the viewers need to know one thing, what is the one thing that you want them to retain as they go off after listening to this to go into the weekend?
It's simple answers aren't necessarily the best answers. And team politics is not going to help us.
Well, it's simple answers like the whole 3 noun the verb, or was it verb the noun? Yeah, verb the noun. Slogans.
Yeah.
Axe the tax, build the home, stop the crime. Come on.
It's simple answers or not. Take the time, look at the candidates, find the one that best aligns with you. If that's Mr. Poilièvre, fine.
Hmm?
If he is the candidate that resonates the best with you, fantastic. But don't just look at the team or look at the simple answer. Know who you're voting for. That is all I ask.
Thank you so much.
I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
Fanboying out here. No, seriously, Bonnie, I really am. Thank you for spending time with us, number one. But number two, thank you for putting yourself out there for democracy, for your community, your neighborhood, your riding, your constituents, your friends, your family members, for those people who need somebody to come out there and speak for them. And not, again, a guy who's a 25-year political veteran living in Ottawa who does not give a damn about the constituency that he was in, let alone let's just drop him into Alberta, the safest riding in the country, because he's blue, so everybody will vote blue. And I'm like, are you really thinking that that's going to work that way? I mean, maybe it does. I really hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. And I hope you win.
If nothing else, I will be a voice for my neighbors to go, that's not right. He may still win.
Yeah.
But he is not going to win by that 82% margin he thinks he is.
No way. If he wins, I think it'll be slim. If he wins.
Yeah.
And I know that, again, as you said earlier, and we've talked about it on the show, the people who live in your riding are not happy about this.
No.
Like, not happy about it.
Nope.
Okay. Bonnie, thank you so much for joining us. Really
For
appreciate
sure.
it. And if you need to come back at any time during the campaign, please let us know.
Yes, we'd love to.
I will do. I will make sure you guys get the email. Thank you very much for the opportunity to tell some stories and actually get some policy out around the stories.
All right. Knock on some doors and make some magic happen.
Will do. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right. Thanks.
Best of luck to you.
Okay.
Get some cubs.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm totally fanboying out here. I love her. I think she's amazing. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be right out there about it. I think she's amazing. I love everything she had to say. I love her attitude. I love the fact that she's a Canadian who's got lived experience and wants to do good by her friends, neighbors, her constituency. Look, I told you right from the get-go when I read her post on Facebook, I'm like, dude, we got to get her on the show. This is the kind of Canadian that more people need to be in touch with. The passionate person who loves this country dearly and is willing to sacrifice a hell of a lot to try and do good, again, for the community that she's in.
Indeed.
I'm sorry, I'm gushing, but how often do I get to meet somebody who is running for that position, who is as passionate about politics as you and I are, and for the right reasons is what I'm getting at. To help each other. Sorry, I'm gushing. I apologize.
Kits and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the True North Eager Beaver interview project. We hope that you liked listening to us because we loved making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless, so please tell your peeps and poops all about us. Oh boy, I forgot what's next. I'm sorry. If you would like to make sure that you do not miss a single episode because you are engaged and you are on the go, if you scan that QR code that just appeared and that's been made available to us thanks to the Ray Girl, that will bring you to our pod page, podpage.com/the-true-north-eager-beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you go there and click subscribe, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. You don't have to go looking for it. We make it easy because we like to help. If you would like to help us, then please surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver YouTube page where you can click on our buttons like, share, and subscribe. When you do, it helps us with the algorithm. And if you happen to be listening to us on podcasts that allow you to give stars and reviews, please do, because that also helps us. If you would like to help us in other ways, let's say with the financial costs we incur to bring this show to you, then a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund would be greatly appreciated. You can do that by scanning the QR code that has just appeared in the corner, or by going to ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. All your contributions are very much appreciated, and they go back into the show to improve the quality and bring you a whole bunch of other things that we can give you. Kits and Cubs as well. If you, sorry, a little something in my throat there. If you would, democracy.
I was going to say it wasn't me, but I didn't think that was appropriate.
Pardon?
You're like, I had a little something in my throat. Wasn't me.
Oh.
It's a double entendre joke there. Like, come
on. If you would, sorry, I'm thrown.
I got you. You know how rare it is for me to get you? Usually it's the other way around.
Yes.
It's pretty rare that I get you. Usually you get me and nail me, and I'm like, I got nothing. I got you this time.
Because democracy is something that you do. In this case, if you would like to support Bonnie Critchley, again, BonnieCritchleyIndependent.com is the email address, and BonnieCritchleyIndependent@outlook.com is where you can send a donation. At the moment, like Bonnie said, no possibility for tax receipt if you want to give an early donation, and if you do give one later, there will be one at that point once the race is on the way. But if you like candidates who are willing to do the work, knock on the doors, show that they are actually engaged in their community and actually want to be their voice, because you have to remember when Pierre goes to campaign there, right, they will be electing a party leader. And once the party leader goes back to Ottawa, he's not going to be doing a lot of talking for the actual riding, as the residents in Carleton figured out and gave him the boot. So if the Prince Bonnie is running, right, to make sure that they have a voice, because even if Pierre Poilièvre comes in, because representing the riding is not going to be his first duty. We've seen him. He got the job of leader of the opposition. He didn't do much leading of the opposition. He just campaigned. So being an independent candidate in this particular instance is probably a really good option. And it's probably a good investment on your part. All right. Words of wisdom, Mr. Grizzly.
Yeah, well, I guess my words of wisdom would be this. If you care about your community, if you care about your friends and your neighbors and the place that you live in, and you have the temerity and the courage to do what Bonnie's doing in the next election, maybe, and I'm going to suggest you start at the municipal level, maybe run for school, what was it?
Trustee.
Thank you, school trustee. Thank you. I wanted to say guidance counselor, and I knew that was wrong. Maybe run as school trustee in the next election, and how you understand, you can get to learn how the system works and how the democracy that we live in that rules our lives works. What Bonnie's doing is it takes an incredible amount of courage and to run as an independent. It's not an easy thing. And again, like she said, it takes money, and her writing is huge. So my words of wisdom are, if you can get involved in your community, maybe start at municipal level. Why is Bonnie starting at the federal level? Because that's where the opportunity presented itself. I mean, this is a unique set of circumstances. Sir, do you remember anything like this?
No,
Never.
nothing like this.
No. So this is a unique set of circumstances. But I would like to think that kids and cubs, if you want to make a difference in your community, get out and do something municipally. That's where you start. Run as maybe a school trustee and go from there. Do what you can do to make your community better.
Right. And with that, kids and cubs, be kind to and gentle with yourselves. Remember that on Saturday, we are doing the mental health walk. So please invite someone who is male or male identifying that you love out for a walk, and just have a check-in for them with their mental health. And we will be doing our pubcast afterwards. So it's a pubcast Saturday, the one day that of the month that we don't do politics. So hopefully you will join us to see a different side of your favorite critters. All right? Now, we got a hockey game to watch. Go Oilers. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.